especially sensitives and empaths, people that are picking up energy on a lot of frequencies, let's say, and
Yeah.
feel overwhelmed by it
Yes.
and maybe limit their lives by it. That's sort of my specialty, and that's who a lot of people come in. So yeah, day-to-day steps, it's really critical to have good, clear grounding. If I'm spaced out, I'm not in the body to control it and command it. That's when some of the flybys can get more engaged, and then you get a little more and more off your path. So it's really so a daily practice of grounding to be fully here as the awareness in the body, not the awareness floating around half a mile up,
Yeah.
but being the awareness right here, right now. Yeah, at that point of getting to a core picture, that's something that I'm interested in helping people uncover. And so, different clairvoyants have different specialties. Some people may love reading past lives, or somebody loves reading relationships. A very select few may be good at future forecasting. So we have different specialties. I love looking for those core pictures, and so hopefully I'm attracting people that are interested and ready. I have to look at how much they can have and not give too much, because some people,
Yeah.
if you give them too much, then they leave screaming.
Yeah. It's baby steps. Yeah. Like sometimes we are consciously don't want to know things yet. We stuff it down so deeply that it really is an unlay of
Yes.
like, I think that's why I always go back to that onion, because it's like we can't go to the core. We haven't dealt with the 50 layers on top of it yet. Like, let's just slowly
Yes.
come in. There's like some safety in that.
And safety is the word I was going to say too.
Yeah.
If like a Jenga game, if you take
Mm-hmm.
off a couple of pieces at the top and they go, oh, okay, well, I'm safe
Mm-hmm.
with those removed, because there's
Yes.
been an identity associated with
Yes.
the pattern of the Jenga game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you go, okay, a couple pins less. Oh,
Yeah. The
okay.
exhale.
And
Yes.
then maybe 2 years later, all right, today I'm ready. The stars are aligned,
Yeah.
and external circumstances are in place.
Yeah.
Let's go for that core Jenga thing. Then,
Mm-hmm.
then we don't have to necessarily do all the middle ones. Pull out
Yeah.
that key
Yeah.
pin.
And the more you do it and the more you lean into a space that you know and a person that you know is safe, that's when we actually create that safety to actually let ourselves release it too, like you were saying. I think the person, the setting, all that stuff that you were mentioning as well is so important. Follow your intuition. Don't just look someone up and be like, yeah, sure. Like my biggest thing when you're when you're connecting with a healer or a clairvoyant or anything like that, don't walk into a storefront. Connect with someone who you know, love, and trust that's maybe been to this person before, that you then are like, okay, and I have a feeling about this person, a good feeling, expansive feeling. Let me step in. Like follow your intuition there with your healers. Like it's important that you do, because that's how you create the safety to actually heal.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. I think that's really important. There's a lot of shiny buttons out there on the web,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and they may have the facade or the words of it, but yeah, I think we have to really tune in. And in this training, I have ways of telling a truth from a lie.
Mm-hmm.
So I would actually read it rather than feel it. It's a little higher space, and then I can see, oh, I would have thought it would have been this, but when I look at it, whoa, it's really clearly
Yeah.
the yes goes up.
Yeah.
A different story here is I had a woman coming in. This is more perhaps in the realm of the type of work that I do, but still paying attention to your intuition and how sometimes there can be. Let me just add an additional addendum to that. Yes, always follow intuition. This woman was coming in for a reading and a healing, and I was going to see her in person. It's literally one exit to get here.
Mm-hmm.
This is a business owner, very capable, very tuned in, very spiritual individual who's lived in the area for a long time. She couldn't find the exit. And her first thought was, well, it must not be meant to be. Well, she called me from, just down the road.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she kind of really confused. She noticed she was confused. And in that confusion, there was the thought that, well, if it's not flowing, then it must not be meant to be. I took a look at her space and I saw there was another energy plugged into her crown trying to persuade her to go in another direction, because I was going to kick that idiot out of her head.
Yeah.
That was not a true guide. That was in her head. So back to the earlier conversation, how do you know if it's a real guide or not? I'll ask Supreme Being, come in, is this actually their guide or not? I'm not deciding that myself. And say, well, okay, if it's not their guide, go ahead and move them along to their next station, their next life lesson. So we have techniques for clearing that stuff out. So I cleared that being that was getting in the way of her coming to get her answers. So she, the owner of the body, signed up for the session. She wanted to get it, and I'm like, there's a little diddler in this space.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and pulled the diddler out and grounded her space, and all of a sudden, oh, I see it.
Yeah.
It was immediate. She found her way and had the session.
Incredible. Whoa. Isn't that so interesting? I do think that is such a powerful thing to breathe into the space, because those things don't desire to be cleared. So they will cause some confusion. And so I think there is something to be said about, but she did feel something when you said that to her. There was a validation within her. Oh, she's right. So when you shared that information with her, there was a part of her that knew that you were right. And I think that's something to connect with too. Like, don't just be like, take someone's word for it. Like, hey, there's something there. Like, give me $3,000 and we'll move it. It's like, well, wait a minute. Does that feel right to you? Like actually connect in and say, like, does this person feel authentic? Does this person feel real? Does this person feel good? Even if there's a part of me that's feeling a little confused, start to follow that too.
Yeah. Making a decision out of confusion can be very tricky. For a case like that, anytime, I always just kind of go to Supreme Being too, rather than trying, if I can't figure it out in my own intuition, I'll tap in on that level and of that sort of ultimate thread of knowingness and wisdom.
Yeah.
So just tapping into that ultimate wisdom and going, is this, ask a really specific question, like a yes, no question. So it's not like, what should I do? And the universe goes, I don't know. What do you want to do?
Yeah, exactly. You tell me. Right.
What kind of experience do you want to have? I don't know.
Right. It's not right or wrong. None of it is, what are you ready for? Not even what are we ready for? What's next? Yeah. We ultimately decide that, but you're right. The yes or no question is so helpful, and the clarity there. Yeah.
So working with other people too, it's learning to ask for good guidance too, of what's most helpful for the client, for the person I'm working with. So learning to ask good questions for ourselves on our own path is really key too. If we go, what should I do? I don't know. What do you want to do? Do you want to go swimming today? I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
You want to go have a cupcake? I don't know.
Yeah. You're like, well, all of the above. Wait a minute. Yeah. Cool. Well, so switching gears a little bit, because this is so interesting, but I'm curious, when you think about like some self-care rituals for people who are in the space that are either highly sensitive or healers, or that are kind of, if they're drawn to this podcast, there's a reason why they're here now. What are some exercises or some self-care rituals that are really potent that you use for yourself, or that you recommend for others, that you feel like would be important to breathe into the space?
Yes, excellent. Sensitives, intuitives, especially sensitives and empaths. Not that I would call myself empathic. I get tricked up on the wording because it has so many connotations, but people that are picking up energy on a lot of frequencies, let's say, and feel overwhelmed by it.
Yes.
And maybe limit their lives by it. That's sort of my specialty, and that's who a lot of people come in. So yeah, day-to-day steps. It's really critical to have good, clear grounding. If I'm spaced out, then I'm not in the body to control it and command it. That's when some of the flybys can get more engaged, and then you get a little more and more off your path. So it's really, so daily practice of grounding to be fully here as the awareness in the body, not the awareness floating around half a mile up, but being the awareness right here, right now. One, grounded. Two, all the way to the center of the earth, not down just a little bit, but really solidly grounded, bringing my purpose into manifestation that way, you could think of it. And three, tuning into source. So something bigger than me, the sort of, you could call it the age, infinite wisdom, if you want. You can call it God if you want. You can call it source. You can call it higher self. That's technically different, but a higher than my ego persona.
Yes. Yeah.
When I tap into that first, then the day flows. If I hit the ground running, then I spin in circles and the day takes longer. Then I get more and more off center, off path, and things take longer. So taking that extra, even 10 minutes to tune in. Am I in my space fully? Me as the higher self in the space. 2, am I grounded? 3, am I connected with source? I would say are 3 go-tos.
So powerful. I think as any high achiever would know, or anyone really, but really, especially you think about the highly sensitive or the high achiever where they're like, I've got this goal and I'm running, but sometimes we're running 300 miles to the left of where we're meant to go. And it's like, wait a minute, if we could just ground in and start to take inspired action versus just taking action, that is when everything changes. When we're taking inspired action that's in alignment with who we are, our purpose, our authentic selves, we make so much more traction than when we're just running all day long. And suddenly we're like, 2023 just passed me and I feel like I'm in the same spot. It's like, well, you just ran in 9 different marathons and it brought you back home to where you are now, instead of being like, wait a minute, let me focus in and see what that divine intention has for me, that divine intelligence has for me. Let me ground it into who I am right now so I can action it. Because this is us actioning what we're receiving. They have to work hand in hand. We can't just receive it and not do anything with it. Or we can't just be here and just run. We got to really connect in and say, where do you want me to run? Where do you want me to walk? Where do you want me to sit still? That's so powerful. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's the difference of waking up and being the body versus waking up and tuning in and being the higher self.
Yeah.
If I'm being the body, it's a much lower vibration, right? And it comes with a lot of limitations. If I'm being the higher self, that's where the magic and the miracles and the day flowing and going even better than expected. If I'm not being the body ego, but I'm being more connected to the authentic me, the higher self.
Yes. I love it. So tell me, how does one develop their spiritual gifts? If someone's like either just starting or they're like, I'm highly sensitive, but I don't know what the hell to do with it. Like, how does one start to actually develop their spiritual gifts?
Well, I really recommend training. It's helpful to have a coach to take a look. Okay, actually, your awareness is here. You want to have it more here. When you do this, it pushes that way, to just give those coaching. This is a step-by-step method that I learned. I'm not making this up. So it's an established method and I pass it along as well. So there's a step-by-step protocol. Those are the first 3 parts of learning how to align in the head where your awareness should sit to activate your clairvoyance and claircognizance. There's ways of running the energy. There's ways of adjusting the chakras and so forth, so we don't pick up so much on a feeling level, but we can more see and know. It's a step-by-step process. So I mean, doing it on your own, I guess you could, but for the type of training that I've done, it really works good with a coach.
Absolutely. Having the guidance, having some sort of like spiritual guide, a spiritual awakening guide, or whatever it is, having someone who can just be like, hey, because they're pointing out our blind spots. It's like, we're just kind of, again, running, or we're just kind of tapping into just this area. And sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, now that I moved the needle, like just this much, like an inch or a centimeter, whoa, it's activated now. And so tapping into someone who can see that, who can guide us suddenly things happen so much more quickly. This is in all areas of life, not just spiritual gifts, but every area. When you have a mentor, someone who's done it before, or someone who can see things from maybe a higher perspective or just a different perspective, or someone that you admire, tapping into a mentor or a guide or a coach changes everything. That's how I learned how to unlock all my spiritual gifts that I didn't even know I had, many of which even a year ago, and those have all come online. And it's like, I wouldn't have known that had I not worked with a coach or a mentor that was like activating them. Sometimes even just being in their presence activates it on, like, it was like a dormant DNA thing that just came online and now it's here because I knew how to access it. So couldn't agree more.
Yeah, for me, when I first started in the ageless wisdom tradition, I was doing it on my own, reading a book. This was literally before internet and all that, and before,
yes,
I think there were cell phones, flip phones or something.
yeah.
But I'm reading a book and I'm doing the meditation. I read a little bit, meditate, and then I go back to the book. Okay.
Yeah.
There were a lot of things going on that I didn't realize doing it on my own. One, I was in complete effort. And if you're working from spirit space, there's no effort. If I'm working from body, that's total effort.
Yeah, that's so
Two
true.
was I was meditating and leaving my body. I thought when it said align with something, it meant go out of your head and go up 15 feet. I didn't know that technically yet. So these are things I learned later, but I was wishing so bad I had a coach. Like, can one of these masters just come poke me on the shoulder and whisper in my ear, I'm not hearing you, I'm not hearing you. I'm straining to hear them, you know?
Yes.
So when I found myself in this style worked for me because it's very step-by-step. I work well with a step-by-step. And having a coach take a look at me one-on-one and go, oh, move your awareness here and now do this and then move a little bit over here. And it's just like you're coaching somebody to hit a ball, you know, and have the best performance for their makeup. And, you know, some people, they may be more aware on a clairaudient level, some people of hearing guidance. Then you want to be real discerning. Who are you listening to? You know, and there's ways to check that. Some people may, usually the first ability to wake up is feeling. I can feel things. I feel that person's worried. I can feel that person's angry or happy or whatever. That's usually the first one to wake up, clairsentient, second chakra. And so validating that, but then let's not stay there. Let's then go up to where we're working as humanity is more seeing and knowing truth versus just feeling it. Because if you're just feeling somebody's anger, for example, now you have anger, it hasn't helped that person, but now you have to deal with the anger energy that's, it's like a string vibrating on a frequency. So like there's anger in the room and it vibrates at a frequency, let's say it's 427 hertz or something. And then as a sensitive, now I'm matching it. And now, it's anger. I can tell that's anger. This is where we start a lot of times. And you can see the limit of it. It doesn't have information about how and why is he angry and how do I coach or how do I help this soul? So, you know, if we start there, then we want to gradually turn that down and be able to more look at a person and see and know, oh, he's angry. His favorite dog just died. Oh gosh, yeah. And you can see the whole thing versus having to experience it with him.
So true. Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say is as we develop our spiritual gifts, they actually become easier to quote unquote, I don't even know if the word is manage, but something along those lines where it's like, then we're aware of how to not take them in and have them become our own. And then it makes you be able to be like, oh, I can differentiate what's theirs, what's mine. Now I can actually really help this person without taking it in as my own.
Yes, you have this great way of putting things together.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's perfect that you're doing the podcast and teaching here. But it's exactly that. That's where we all start. So not to invalidate anybody that's feeling energy. You're feeling it, great. That's clairsentient. And that's an ability. It has value and it served me well. I'm a super clairsentient.
Yeah, same.
I could feel a Wi-Fi if I wanted to. I can feel somebody coming into the room. I could feel a being coming into the room.
Totally. Yeah.
You know, but then also sensitivity, like my teeth are sensitive, and
oh my God, that's so
my
funny.
skin is sensitive. You know, it's like I am sensitive.
Yeah. I've never even put those together. Interesting.
Digestion. A lot of times there's digestive issues. That the
Totally.
higher refined a person is, or the more tuned in to all these frequencies on different bands of energy. So these are information bands. Here's an information band on emotions. Here's an information band on thoughts, mental thoughts. Here's an information band on deceased loved ones communicating. Here's an information band from your spirit guides. You know, so they're all different frequencies having, and they're carrying different, like a radio band with different information on each one. The sense of, for a sensitive, you might pick up multiple bands at one time, and then, you know, it can feel overwhelming. But the thing is, don't get sidetracked by that. Awesome, you have these abilities in you, and the trick is then get yourself in some training and learn how to harness that, wake it up, get in command of it instead of it pulling you off center. Like, I can't go to the party, I can't go to the event because I feel too much and it's overwhelming. You absolutely can. There's ways to adjust that. It's the first ability to wake up very often. So validate it, love it, and move forward. Don't stay there.
Yes. How would someone, let's say, walk into a room or a party and kind of shut that off in a way that would be supportive? Because I know that if you're listening, you're a highly sensitive person, most likely. I'm sure, I'm positive there's about 9,000 people saying, how do I do that? Is that something you can leave us with?
I'll say this, there's a lot of tools coming to mind. Like, I have a whole series of training on that, but here's a quick one. Is you can ground the room you're walking in. So all that energy that you're picking up doesn't come through your personal space, but put a grounding cord on the room.
Ooh, powerful.
Like 5 feet across. And with the intention that everybody's energy, and maybe if you're tuned in on an emotion level, set that grounding cord can collect their emotions and just like funnel down like a lightning rod on a building, reroutes energy. If you're tuned in on a thought level, you're aware of, oh, that person thinks I look great today. Oh, that person thinks I'm an idiot.
You're like, great.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, exactly. That's yours, not mine. Moving on. Yeah.
If you're tuned in on that level, then you can set the grounding cord, you know, to also let go of people's thoughts on that mental level. And that gives it a space to go instead of magnetizing to the brightest thing in the room.
Yes.
So it's like being like being the light bulb that the moths are attracted to. If you're a natural healer, that's why you're picking up all these frequencies. Wow.
So powerful the way that you said that. It's resonating really deeply with me, like thinking about walking into rooms and being like, whoa, there's a lot going on here. So I'm going to use that exercise 1,000% next week at that event we're going to. But in all the spaces that I walk into, that's a really powerful visualization tool and exercise that I feel like is going to support everyone if they utilize it. Oh,
that's amazing. A start. There's a couple other steps we go with geometry and stuff, but that's a great start because it's separating what's actually mine and what's another person's. The biggest thing that's the trick here is that our own emotions and thoughts we can handle. Other people's we cannot, because my body didn't create their life circumstances, problems, and their emotions that worked out. Like if I'm tuned into a man that's angry and you learn looking at it, oh, his dog died and he thinks that there was foul play. So he's angry. So if I look at that situation, you know, I don't want to feel that. Right. But giving a space for that information to go. So for what was I going to say? But for healers, we feel like not every problem is ours to solve. And to keep in mind that other people's problems, a man's anger. I didn't create that life circumstance. I can't solve it. So
Yeah.
if I'm feeling it in my body, it's not helping either one of us forward. It's not moving a needle forward. I got to let that go. So my
Yes.
own stuff I can handle, other people's not so much.
Huge, really powerful distinction. Yeah. I know. Yeah, that's really powerful, because I think sometimes as healers we're like, I want to heal everyone. It's like, okay, well, hold on. Yes, and like, let's take a step back. Let's work on our clients first. Let's work on ourselves first, you know? And I think that will have us be even more powerful in our sessions or with ourselves as well. It's like, it's such a service to us and humanity when we do start to cleanse and clear our energy, and we really do show up for ourselves in ground spaces and really allow ourselves to be as powerful as we truly are without having us, take in everything else. So
yeah, absolutely. Get a coach to work with you on. Don't be in a hurry to start healing everybody, because if you're not managing your own energy yet, you can easily get off track. So take a little time to manage that first. And it's learning to drive a fancy car. It's got a lot of power. Take it slow first.
Yeah, like watch out for those turns. We don't need to be going 90 on that one. Let's dial it back a little. Yeah. Very cool. Oh my gosh, Julia, I could talk to you for 12 hours. I feel like we should have you back on just to talk more about more things.
I'd love to.
Thank you so much for just providing so much wisdom, for channeling in beautiful exercises into this space. I'm positive people want to connect with you. So where are you hanging out? Where can they start to connect with you so they can learn more, potentially work with you, like just start to lean in and learn their own gifts and how to harness them and really like take it to 120 on the highway if they desire,
Yeah. Thank you. You can go to my website, 𝗤𝗟𝗡𝗙.com, HARRELL. There's a free class for you when the green window comes over. Sign up there. I'll send you a free class. It's great for sensitives. I have online training. I'm on the socials, mostly on the Facebook business. It's Julia Harrell Clairvoyant, I believe. Instagram is Julia Harrell Spiritual Guide. So those are best places to catch me. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that, give me a thumbs up and be sure and subscribe so you get the next one. Meanwhile, here's a couple more videos.